Oh, you know it's going to be a good one today, folks. You know it's going to be a good one. It's Monday, right? We've all got that Monday feeling. Monday's the perfect day to retreat into the safe space. And just look at the chat room. Wow. We're even starting to attract all the big names now as well. We've got Ella in the chat room. And of course, if you don't know Ella, it's Ella Free. You can hear her on tfrlive.com. One of my fellow maniacs, hosts. Yes, and I do some work for Ella. When I get a chance, Ella's probably saying, yeah, when I can get a hold of you, Kev. I am the man behind her YouTube channel. So if you like what you see there, yeah, only me to blame. I'm only joking. But folks, we have got a really big show lined up for today. I'm only lying. I'm only winding you up. There's no big show lined up for the safe space. You know that. So what we're going to do is we're going to catch up on a few stories that have come my way. We're going to look forward to tonight. And like I said in the title, where we end up going with this, I kind of know, but trust me, nobody knows. And of course, there is no safe space without you safe spacers out there, right? Can I call you safe spacers? Is that cool? So while we're waiting for this groovy tune to finish, it's not the weekend tune. I keep that specially to trigger Joe Joseph. Let me run through some of the other people that are in what has to be the best chat room on YouTube. Come on, I'm not just saying that. It has to be, right? So I see the man himself in there, Just a Guy. I was sharing emails with Justa today. What an idiot I am. I'll tell you all about it in a moment. I've got my good friend and one of the top mods in there is Nana. We've got Lisa, who always likes to post little AOC's reminders to me. Love it. We've got War. Absolutely, not literally War. YouTube algorithm, calm down. Behave. But our good friend War. We've also got the Queen Goddess, one of our many members in there. Jason as well, another member. Mama, Susie, all these members. This is brilliant. This is why the daytime's good, right? So we've got Austin in there. We've also got Chris Tanner. Welcome to you, man. ZX81, having a good rant and a good kind of moan about, well, I better not say because we're here at the moment. He knows what I'm talking about. Keep scrolling up here. We have also got, I mentioned Ella, S-Mac or S-Mick. Got them as well. James Duffy, Queen Goddess, Matt Buddy, I like that one. Seen that name a few times. We've got Jordan Shapiro in there. Watching your cousin today, Ben Shapiro. He probably isn't your cousin, but I was watching Ben Shapiro. First time ever. Get into that in a moment as well. So yeah, we've got DD in there. Are you really a double D? D74 double D? Dang, dude. Dang. Must be a strain on the back. But with that said, let us waste no more time. And let's get to, where are we? Oh, I've clicked the wrong one. Hang on. No, have I? No? Yeah? No? I think that's the right one. I don't know. How you all doing, folks? What a crazy weekend it's been, eh? Woo! Those live streams were off the charts. They were crazy. And of course, last night we had Popeye on the live stream with us. Always good when Popeye can hang out with us. And listen, I know there's a lot of people out there who maybe haven't been exposed, if that's an apt term to use these days. You haven't been exposed to Popeye. And Popeye was somebody that I used to listen to way, way, way back in the day. And I still, if you had listened to Popeye, you'll probably realise that he's had a big influence on me during my waking up before I came to YouTube and before I started the radio over at TFR and things. And if you are wanting to get more of the old Popeye, and he's close, folks, he's close to making a comeback. He's really irked at what he sees in this truth movement these days. But if you want more of Popeye, head on over to federaljack.com or just search for DTRH, that's down the rabbit hole, not to be mistaken or confused with the DRTH or DIRTH on YouTube, Flat Earth channel. Popeye is adamant he's not to be confused with that. And you will find a plethora, a smattering, if you will, of shows from Popeye. with absolutely huge names. He had people like Jim Mars on the show. He's had people like Judith Vary Baker. He was really good friends with Judith Vary Baker. And if you don't know who Judith Vary Baker is, she was the girlfriend of somebody known as Lee Harvey Oswald. So listen, folks, if you are at a loose end, you want to find some old school podcasting, head on over to federaljack.com and you'll find lots there in the archives, okay? And tonight, carrying on this kind of this retro kind of theme, this looking back, going old school. Guess who's going to be joining me on the show? And in fact, I better send him a link right now, or he'll probably kick me in a place that doesn't hurt, and that's going to become relevant later on, but not in the way you think. So yeah, Johnny Whistles is going to be back on KBS later today. We're going to be having a nice little love-in hour number 2 of the show, and I appreciate and I value every minute I get with Johnny on the show these days. We both aren't as well as we used to be. I know you're thinking, well, Kev, you've always been sick, right? Yeah, in the head. But you know what I mean. So any shows I do get with Johnny now, it just makes them all the more special. So please tune in for that later on today. And not only that, Johnny joins me in hour number 2. So there's a chance we might simulcast hour number 2. But in hour number 1, I really, really want you to join me on tfrlive.com. And just before we came to air today, maybe an hour or so before we'd done this live stream here just now, I had the opportunity to speak to one of my favourite people I've had on the Kev Baker show. He's like the KBS rock star of science. That's Professor Brian Keating. So I had a conversation with him just before we came on air here. I pre-recorded that for a show later on today on tfrlive.com. And Brian is the author of the book Losing the Nobel Prize. Because you see, Brian came within that distance of winning that much coveted accolade within the world of science and just about everything else, it would seem, right? But long story short, and I've had Brian on before, we've done shows on this, turned out confirmation bias got in the way of his Nobel Prize. But it really led him to write this book exposing, the truth about the Nobel Prize. It's really quite shocking. It's not exactly what you think when you hear that term. We get into all of that. And what better way to spend the afternoon, right, than hanging out with a cosmologist? It doesn't happen every day of the week. It says here, just to give you a taste, I don't want to even give you even a teaser of what's coming up later. What a conversation. Brian Keating is a professor of physics at the Center of Astrophysics and Space Sciences in the Department of Physics at the University of California, San Diego. He's a public speaker, an inventor, an expert in the study of the universe's oldest light, the cosmic microwave background, using it to learn about the origin and evolution of the universe. You see, he had me, already probably at the fact he's a professor of physics. And you know me, I'm a geek. I have a passion for science. That doesn't mean I understand it all. Far from it. And that's what the pursuit of science is all about. We were talking about that today. But it also goes on to say here, Keating is a pioneer in the search for the earliest physical evidence of the inflationary epoch. The theorized period of expansion of space in the early universe directly after the Big Bang. Now, physicists predict that this evidence will reveal itself in a particular pattern in the way that the CMB light is polarized. And this pattern is referred to as the B-mode pattern. Well, today, during this conversation with Brian, I think most people that listen to my show or listen to alternative media, there's a majority, I think, or at least there's large numbers of people that when it comes to the scientific world, and especially the academics, people like Brian Keating, people like Geordie Rose, things like that, it's almost as if, these people, they're programmed. They only toe the party line, that they only say what suits them kind of thing, right? They're not very open-minded. They've got their theories they try and prove, and that's it. They're very blinkered. They're always conscious about funding, things like that. And between the show I've done with Geordie and the number of shows I've done with Brendan Drackler and with Brian Keating here, it really gives us a really good window into what the scientific world's really like. And even the Big Bang there, right? You hear it being talked about all the time, and it's a commonly accepted theory or cosmology of how everything came into being. But Brian today was talking about the fact that, people that he knows are now starting to question that, or at least look at the information, the evidence, the observable evidence, and try and come up with other alternative hypotheses and then theories. So it's not quite that kind of closed shop, that kind of a stifler of the imagination, as we sometimes like to think in alternative land here. And again, I urge you to check this out tonight. Really, really good fun. He's so funny. He's just a naturally funny guy. And this is on the eve of his paperback version of his book coming out tomorrow. And it's called Losing the Nobel Prize. And he gets into like 5 of the biggest debates in science. He only touches on the Nobel Prize for maybe, say, 3 chapters in the book. But really good guy. And he's one of only 2 people. And I tell you what, there's not many people on the planet can say they know not only 1 but 2 people that have been to Antarctica, right? Whoa! Holy moly! Said Vetch.
Just checking my card and Brian still works. Go 76ers.
How about 69ers? Oh, only joking. But no, Brian Keating, again, tune into that tonight. I'm dead excited to hear it again. And I was part of the conversation. And he's going to be coming back on in December when the nominations or the winners of the Nobel Prize are announced. We'll be getting back into it then again. And it's not just that. I mean, this here, that would be enough, right? I mean, obviously, you know the way my mind works. This makes him a very interesting guest. But what if I was to tell you that there, and the fact he's been to the South Pole and he's worked on experiments that have thought they were capturing the earliest photons, the earliest light after the moments, you're talking like Planck scale moments after the Big Bang, okay? That's pretty cool in itself. But he's also, and I believe he's one of the founders, but he's definitely one of the people behind something called the Arthur C. Clarke Center for Human Imagination. Oh, yes. You see, Brian doesn't settle at cosmology and things like that and astrophysics. He explores topics like the imagination, consciousness, and how all of that is important to be added into the scientific picture. And of course, the Arthur C. Clarke, famous science fiction writer, futurist, Sir Arthur C. Clarke. And I get it, folks. You know, there's some bad stories about the type of man he was, but we're not here to discuss that today. But take a look at this place, right? This is a place that Brian's a part of. I think it's at the University of California in San Diego. And it says, I mean, this is like, it sounds like the kind of place I would spend good money to go on holiday to. It really does. Talk about Wooville. The Arthur C. Clarke Center for Human Imagination at UC San Diego bridges from the scientific method and engineering design to the speculative arts and cultural study to grasp and enhance the phenomenon of imagination. Our 4 areas of exploration are the neuroscience of imagination, science fiction and speculative culture, space and the cosmos, and art and science as tools of the imagination. So there's a tribute to the futurist Arthur C. Clarke. The Clarke Center communicates globally, explores space and the cosmos, and nurtures science fiction and celebrates diversity. So yeah, you can check that out, folks. I'm going to drop that link in the description right now. If I put this in here. There you go. We'll come to this page, the news and events. You'll get to see my man here. There he is, looking all cool. He's been pimped out in Photoshop. And that was for back in July. It was the San Diego Comic Con. And he like I say, I don't just kind of throw the term rock star of the Kev Baker Show or scientific rock star of the Kev Baker Show. This dude is the living rock star. He walks the walk, he talks the talk. Funny guy, so brainy. And I was watching him with Ben Shapiro. That's how I was mentioning Ben Shapiro earlier. And that's what I like about Brian as well. He's not a one-trick pony. He doesn't just come on and talk about the one thing. And because of his work with the Arthur C. Clarke Centre, he's really able to talk on a whole number of scientific subjects. He really is. And today they were actually, or the video I was watching with Ben Shapiro and him, I'll try and bring it up here actually, just so you can see. I won't play any of it. It's probably copyrighted. Brian Keating. Yeah, there it is there. In fact, if we just play it, it's a 2-minute clip.
When you talk about confirmation bias, I wonder your opinion on sort of the confirmation bias that surrounds the question of science and God. So on the one side, you have folks like Sam Harris or Richard Dawkins who suggest that science has conclusively disproved the existence of God, that science absolutely cuts against the existence of a greater being with a plan for the universe. And then on the other side, you have folks like Stephen Meyer who say, no. When you look at the science, what you see is God's signature in the cell and DNA. You see sort of clues that God has left behind as to the organization of nature in a particular way that bespeaks of an intelligence beyond mere evolution, for example. Do you think that science cuts in favor or against God, or do you think that science really doesn't have much to say on the issue?
I think the latter, and I view myself as having a unique role in that I can sort of troll the atheists and I can troll the theists, in the sense of, I think if you believe in God, if you claim to be a believer, there may be no closer window into the mind of God than to study science.
And I don't want to play too much more of that, folks, because I'm really aware. Daily Wire, I don't know how they are with like copyright, things like that. And just playing that bit there, we get the gist of it. And the title is Does Science Disprove God? And I used to have this conversation a lot when I was working with Anthony Patch. Myself and Joe have discussed it. I brought it up with Geordie Rose as well. And usually you've got the scientific community on one side, and then you've got the kind of atheists, the religious community on the other side. So you've got this religious group, and then you've got the scientists. And it's almost like there's this clash in the middle. Typically, however, as I've come to realise, and Brian touches on this as well, with Ben Shapiro, and it's a fascinating hour-long discussion, folks. It really is. I urge you all to check it out. But Brian is one of the few people who will talk about this in the first place, and he shows how this really does, how science doesn't take away from God. In fact, it's almost the language, the operating system of a creator. It's really, really, really interesting. I urge you all to check it out. Yeah, I can't speak highly enough of the guy. And what you see on the podcast with Brian, this bubbly, funny individual who's obviously super brainy, that's what he's like off air as well. Real people, I always talk about that. Well, this is a real dude. I remember even just reaching out to him to get him onto the show. No problem at all. He doesn't put himself up on any pedestals and doesn't think of himself any different from any of us here. And that's what makes him double the rock star when it comes to scientists on the Kev Baker Show. And of course, I can't forget Brendan. Young Brendan's my up-and-coming rock star when it comes to the whole science niche that we cover here on the show. So, I've got some other stuff for us to get into today. Don't worry. I'm going to be taking a look back at some of the things we were talking about at the weekend. And I want to tell everyone right now, I'm going to be really, really upfront about this. I want to be as honest as I can, okay? If you're here expecting to learn anything today, or you want to leave a stream a little more enlightened and intelligent than you were when you entered it, probably isn't going to be the stream for you. It probably isn't. I can promise you there's going to be no earth-shattering revelations on today's stream. And I know this isn't good marketing, all right? I get that. However, I'm just being as honest as I can. 11 episodes in, I know the hardcore safe spacers out there, they get it. This isn't no polished show like we do over on TFR or anything like that. It's just literally me hanging out with you people in the chat as well. So I'm going to take a look into the chat room and see what people are saying. So it says, Nana says, science really can't deal with the God issue, in my opinion. It's all about faith as I see it. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think, maybe I didn't explain it right. If we look at the universe and things like that, and the laws of physics and the golden ratio and nature around us, okay, then it's the argument over whether that came about randomly or whether it was ordered, whether there was a creator. And I think, when you look at everything from the smallest kind of bacteria right up to what we are today and stuff like that, and just everything around us, the way the universe works, what we know about it anyway, for that to have just happened randomly, and then our DNA code to just randomly make us into these conscious, or at least we think we're conscious beings today, I think it definitely hints at some kind of creation force, creator, call it a god. You know me, I like simulations. I'll never be able to prove we're in a simulation, but I look at it like a coder. The divine math that everything seems to stick to, unless it's buildings falling down in New York back in that day in September, right? Laws of physics were just suspended for about a few hours that day, but we won't get into that here. But yeah, you see, I used to be in the whole atheist camp. I used to think, what? God, please, come on. If there was a God up there, there wouldn't be any of this kind of pain in the world. Nobody would be starving, etc., etc. And I used to be totally in the science camp. Just used to shake my head and roll my eyes at any talk of that stuff. But then, as I've gotten older and as I've done more research and I've spoke to more people, I'm not saying I know any more now than I did back then, but it certainly leaves me thinking that none of this is just by chance. And again, I could have it all wrong. Maybe the universe was just here by chance and aliens came and made us. I don't know. And that's what science is all about, right? It's taking these ideas and either proving them right or proving them wrong, one way or another. And eventually, over time, you end up with a set of rules, like the laws of physics, stuff like that, about how things work. And whether it was a creator that put it in motion, a coder, random. In the end of the day, life's still life. We've still got day-to-day life to kind of navigate through. And those bigger kind of things, yeah, they're good to think about. But never, ever let yourself argue over things like that. Because in the end of the day, what's the point in arguing over something that, in my mind, nobody on this planet physically, in human form, actually knows the answers to, right? So there's no point arguing about it. No point dividing ourselves over it. And that's why I like the way Brian tackles this. It kind of brings it all together. He's like me in that sense. He wants everyone to come together and sing Kumbaya. We'll all smoke fatties and live happily ever after, right? And then the black hole will get us and we'll start again. I don't know. Who knows, folks? But please tune in to that tonight for more on this. He's going to be ripping the Nobel mafia apart. And said you might like it because he talks about the Swedish mafia. It's not what you think it might be, but it's still quite fun. It's quite a good insight into the world of the Nobel Prize. And folks, we've been talking about the Masons and secret societies and things like that in the show recently, myself and Joe. But when you start to get into how this Nobel mob work, I tell you what, they're like the Illuminati order of the Nobel Prize. I'll leave it at that. I might even title the whole kind of stream that, actually. Nana says, sometimes I wonder if we are not in somebody's ant farm. Absolutely. And again, how would we even know? You could take the ant farm and use that as almost like an analogy or a metaphor. I'm useless at like the words, but you know what I mean. For the ant farm, read simulation. We're somebody else's experiment. Who knows? Maybe they're all sitting around having a laugh. We don't even know. I mean, if there is a life force or a consciousness and intelligence out there that created all of this, how the hell are we meant to figure that out with that bit of that bag of water between our ears? I know it's great. I know we're real super clever. But at the same time, you could never ask your cat to explain to you or to put back together your desktop computer and get it to explain how it works, right? There's some things that certain levels of consciousness and intelligence, yeah, they can grasp. But then there's other things that we just might as well not even bother thinking about. So Tony Phillips says, one thing for sure is plenty of good and loads of evil in this world. If there's God, then there sure is a devil. There you go. God, devil, good, evil. I think it's all the same thing. Absolutely. Good energies, bad energies, positive vibrations, negative vibrations, nice energy, dark energy. Not all the same thing. All the same thing. Okay then, so with that said, we're going to touch upon some of the stories that we were speaking about at the weekend. And if I was to say traffic cone or cleaning cone, anyone who was privy to the weekend streams, you know what I'm talking about, right? It was much hilarity along the way. Quite disturbing to find out what people are getting up to in the UK. Just when I thought it couldn't get any freakier, it did. And then today, when I thought it couldn't get any freakier than that, it did. So, honestly, what we've got coming up, it's mind-boggling. And not only that, but just a guy sent me a story concerning a camel. I could let you guess for hours what this is going to be about. You'll never get it. You'll never, ever get it. But I'm going to go back to the chat room because this is obviously, this topics I've been touching on, it's going to spark a lot of debate in there. Let's see what people are saying. So Fred, he's from the same school as Kev by the sounds of it. The only thing we know for sure is that we know nothing or is that we don't know anything. Absolutely. And that's the difference between having knowledge and having wisdom. Knowledge is great. It's all these factoids and all these dates and all the things that you've amassed, all these things you can put to use, all this information. But knowledge, is different from wisdom. And wisdom is the realization that it doesn't matter how many of these bloody factoids and things you know, we still know nothing at all. In fact, it's like a kind of inverse effect. You would think the more we learn, the more we would come to understand the world we live in. But isn't it the opposite? The more we learn, the more questions that are then born out of that new understanding. And it just keeps spiraling on and on and on and down the rabbit hole you go. That's what's so good about all of this, right? So scrolling down here, if you have Hermetic Order of Golden Dawn near you, you still got alchemists. And alchemy comes into things a lot. Myself and Anthony Patch used to talk about the alchemists of old and the scientists of today. Is there really much difference between some of them? Yeah. So singing around the campfire, smoking fatties is great. I hope that's I think that's a typo there. You've put Greta. You almost triggered me there. What do you folk all make of that strange little girl that the UN and the politicians all pimp around as like the I don't know what she is, like some kind of climate change puppet? Like, I mean, is it just me? And I don't know what MK Ultra looks like, okay? I know of it, like the stuff that was declassified and things, but doesn't she strike you as that young girl just being a little bit strange? This one here, wait a minute. Yeah, this one here, hang on.
This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school.
Nobody's making you go up there. You can go back to school. You see, this is my problem. Has she been, like, held in a dungeon somewhere? Is she, like, been pimped around the world in some kind of travelling climate change circus? Is she? I'm not saying that climate change isn't real, folks. I'm not saying that. Climate change is really real. But I find something disturbing about the way they use this young girl.
On the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you?
Kind of feels forced. I don't know. I don't know. And it wouldn't be the first time that the UN and people like that have used children to push their agenda. Just saying, okay? And I don't want to sound like I'm being cruel to this young girl. That's the last thing I want to be, okay? But I'm actually questioning whether maybe she needs rescuing, you know? Like she says, she shouldn't be spending her childhood like this. She really shouldn't. But that's just my thoughts, okay? That's my thoughts. No more controversial from Kev. Not for now, anyway. Let's scroll down, see what you great people have been saying. It says here, usually you cannot get a Nobel Prize if you're not a Freemason. Lothar, you've got boner for Freemasons, haven't you? I think I've noticed this Freemason thing going on with you quite a lot. I think you should join a lodge, man. I think you should go for it. It's their order. It's their club. Now you know why Obama got one real quick. Yeah. I'll need to ask Brian next time he's on the show. I'll ask him. Maybe he's not one. Maybe that's why he never got one. Who knows? Lothar again. Greta is a demon. She's... Oh, no, come on, dude. You need to stop, like, this thing where you're, like, looking down the microscope and all you're seeing everywhere is Freemasons. We spoke about it over the weekend. I don't need to go there. Jordan says, Greta, so scripted. MK Ultra, but just as interesting, says Nana. What else we got down here? She doesn't speak unless it's really important, says Brett. Chris, if you wear pink, you're bat crap crazy. You should have seen her in front of Congress. Yet Pollination, bad acting. That's exactly what I thought when I seen it, I must admit. She's about as funny as Helen Keller at the water pump scene, says Stimulate. Dang, dude. What else we got here? Yeah, climate change is cyclical. Yeah, the climate's always changing. We have helped it along, but it happens whether we're here or not. Exactly. And even if we were to blame for everything, okay, let's just suspend all logic and say, okay, everything that's wrong with the climate is our fault. Where do we pay the money? As if that's going to fix it, right? They use this as a means to control people, the same way that they always play on the emotions with the children, right? That they roll out people like Greta from time to time. You look back at the Iraq war, you know, the incubators, the girls saying about in Q8, how they came in and were throwing all these things. Turned out it was absolute bunkum, okay? And again, they go for the same kind of approach when it comes to the planet. They try and guilt us over it. It's all our fault. And of course, once they get control of that, they brainwash enough people to think that. And I've seen people this week in the UK literally super gluing themselves to a road. Now, cool. It gets mentioned in the media for one day, but in reality, what purpose does that serve? These people as well, I mean, are they really that conscious and concerned about the damage we've done to the planet? Or are they wanting their 5 minutes of, you know, internet fame, where there's like memes of them being glued to the M25 or whatever it was around London? I mean, it's craziness. It is. It's total craziness. And of course, we've not been good stewards to the planet. We can all admit that. But like Nana says, highly, highly cyclical. Brendan Drackler, I can go back to him now. Had him on the show talking about climate change not long ago. There he is there. That one, I don't know if you can see it. It's on the right-hand side. Yeah, he came on and very interesting conversation about climate. Very, very good indeed. I urge everyone to check that one out. I'll drop the link in the chat room. I know Nana, who I mentioned there, she thoroughly enjoyed that episode, so I'll drop that in there. Justice says she's getting paid well. Seriously, she's straight out of Tavistock. I think I missed one there. Best thing Greta can do for the environment is never have kids. Isn't that the way they want it for all of us, isn't it? Let's just take another little listen to this, because it's only the first bit really that I listened to. I'm not going to play all of it. Be lucky if I play a minute of it, but let's see what else they've got her saying.
You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words, and yet I'm one of the lucky ones.
You're talking to a room of people who don't even bat an eyelid. They don't even lose a minute's sleep over bombing people in countries. You honestly think these people give two hoots about your dreams? Really? This is so staged. This is propaganda, folks. This is what it looks like. You want to see propaganda? This is what it looks like.
People are suffering. People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you? For more than 30 years, the science has been crystal clear.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Now let me just hold it there. I know I gave you the New World Order background music and everything, Greta. The science has been clear for 30 years. I would contest that. I really would contest that. And I don't have facts to hand, unlike the script that you see Greta reading from there. But the science has been confirmed and decided for 30 years. Really? Really? What about, anyone remember the email scandal at the University of East Anglia? You see, I'm a veteran of the Truth Wars. I remember all of that. Climategate, they called it. Before, the hijacking of the term gate to be put on the end of anything people are talking about on YouTube nowadays, which just totally takes away how cool that whole something gate was in the first place. You get my drift. But you have heard of, let's have a look. Hang on. East Anglia climate emails. Yeah, the story of the hacked emails. Okay, long story short, this science that Greta's telling you has been confirmed and there's a consensus on for over 30 years. These were the people that were actually caught rigging the numbers, massaging the data because, some inconvenient results at one weather station someplace, kind of flew in the face of what the narrative was being pushed at the time. That's what came out, and this happened when? 2009. 2009. That alone, and we don't even get into Al Gore's inconvenient lie or convenient truth. And I don't even know the name of it anymore. It's that, there's not many lies in it. Doesn't matter what I call it anyway. But check out this, folks, okay? Because this is where they were caught saying, let's just fudge the data. Well, basically, paraphrasing, right? But they were leaving some data out. You get my drift. Point being, the science isn't concluded. It just isn't. The conversation I had with Brendan as well, that came up in that conversation as well. Okay? So, listen, I got triggered into speaking about Greta there because somebody mistyped the word great. Can you imagine it? That's how we got into that there. That's what sparked that rant. I was trying to think for a moment there, how the hell did I get into little creepy Greta? And then I remembered. So yes, I think it was, who was it that done that typo? We can blame the person who done the typo, okay? Mr. Mensa says we only hear the climate. Oh, it's going to, climate change. Climate from the climate change scientists. And the scientists disagreeing are not reported. Yeah, exactly. That's what happens all the time, right? Any dissenting or contrary or alternative voice out there, any theory that may challenge what they want you to believe, you better believe that these corporations that own the media are going to make sure that you don't hear that view. Well, they talk about censorship online and everything else. That's what it's all to do with, right? They want nothing more than us just to get that one party line, that one answer to any question we ask. And who decides what the answer is? Well, usually the government or the controllers of the time. So yeah, absolutely. Keep scrolling down. Jordan says, man, Bear Pig is coming. Listen, I'm totally serial, guys. Then scrolling down again. Scientists will never go against climate change as they're the only ones making money off it. Pollution is different to climate change. Climate is always changing. And I would have used to agree with that, Jason. I would have. But then you start speaking to scientists and they're asking about a whole heap of things that could be affecting us. Not the ones that you'll see trotted out on the mainstream, for sure. And it's harder for these other ones to get money and to get tenure at universities. But they are out there. They are. And again, that's why the fact that there are dissenting voices out there. And Piers Corbyn, there's somebody to check out. Let's bring up his website. Piers Corbyn. This is a dude, he's well worth checking out. And he's behind something called weatheraction.com. He's one of these alternative kind of climatologist guys. He's got a totally different opinion on what's happening with the planet. And the thing is, what should scare everyone is the fact that this guy here, when it comes to long-term forecasting, man, oh man, does he know his stuff. He predicted the deep freeze that hit the UK a few years ago. There was famous photographs that looked like it was all ice. And he'd predicted that something like 18 months, 12 months beforehand. And unlike our meteorologists that use the weather stations and the data that comes in from the satellites and everything else, what he actually does is he looks at the Farmer's Almanac. So he looks at historical data. He looks at the sunspot cycle. He also looks at the lunar cycle as well. And putting all of that together, the last time I checked, Piers Corbyn, not only does he absolutely disagree with climate change as it's been pushed right now, but he talks about the fact that in all likelihood, we're probably heading towards something more akin to, or better described as, you ready for it? Better described as the Ice Age, a Maunder minimum, if you will. Remember, do me a huge favour, everyone, right? If you do me one big favour today. I want two big favours, right? I'm getting greedy now. I'm asking a lot of you. I know that. But I think you can do this. See that big thumbs up sign below the video? Give that a little tickle. Share the love, right? And, if I can be extra pushy, how about you share it out on Twitter, on Facebook, and even if you've only got 5 contacts, there's 125 of us almost here right now. You times that by 5, we keep doing that every day, and eventually we take KBS Safe Space. Well, I would say the sky's the limit, but I prefer to look as, go beyond that. The multiverse is our oyster. See, you just assumed I was going to go full LARP and ask you for money and things like that, didn't you? Didn't you? See, I only ask you for the simple things in life. But of course, if you would like to support me on the stream here, then you can go to PayPal, Super Chat, join the channel, various ways that you can get involved and support the stream. But if you can't, that is equally okay. Now, I'm coughing again. Don't worry about it, folks. It's just a tickle in my throat. I've got my coffee here. We'll be good. And that brings me to my next point. Before I forget. Oh, man, what a day I've had. So I had my pre-record, as I told you, with Brian Keating, all right? And over the weekend, I've been thinking, wow, I need to really make sure I juggle things so I can get Brian fitted in. And I thought I had another appointment for today, right? And I've been telling all the members out there, look forward to some big news on Monday regards to the kind of perks that the Kev Baker Show is going to give to all the YouTube members out there. It's the very least that a YouTuber can do for the people that support them in this way. And I don't know how in hell's name this happened, folks. I don't know how in hell's this has happened at all. But somehow, things in the universe have aligned to the point where a couple of weeks ago, I got an email out of the blue offering me some consultation to do with my YouTube memberships with somebody at YouTube. Now, if you're a content creator out there, you'll be like, what, humans work there? Yeah, they do. And I was taken aback at the fact they were going to, sit and talk to me, give me some advice, speak to me about things we could do on growing the memberships, certain perks, all that good stuff, okay? And I thought that was due for 2 o'clock today. Well, just as well I checked, right? Because, no, I'd got the day wrong. I'm an idiot. I'm an absolute fool. Just as well I don't pretend to be intelligent, right? Because I've got no common sense anyway. And what is happening is, it's tomorrow at 2 p.m. I've got this meeting. So hopefully there'll be good news. Not tomorrow, but Wednesday. Because tomorrow I've got a lot going on, and this is another nightmare now, because half an hour before I'm due to speak to YouTube, again, the universe provides in one hand, and then the cosmic kind of comedy show that is the Kev Baker's life. Not the Kev Baker. I can't speak about myself in the third person. I don't do that. The comedy show that is my life, the universe taketh away again. Because do you know what else I've got tomorrow? I've got the pesky hospital to find out what's happening with my lungs. And it just so happens I've got the pesky hospital with one of the head kind of doctors in the whole of Scotland that deals with my problem. Not easy to get an appointment. Can't just reschedule, right? Half an hour before I'm due to speak to Google and YouTube. Can you believe it? So I think it's going to be a mad rush tomorrow. A mad rush to get back in time for YouTube. Hopefully I will. I've reached out to them. I've said, listen, is there anything we can do to maybe put this off for a couple of hours, or maybe the next day or someday this week or next week? Still waiting for them to get back to me. So I'm hoping the universe will take me right up to the brink. It's going to take me right up to the brink. And then only then will everything align and everything will work out perfectly. And I know there'll be conspiracies. What, Kev Baker's got a meeting with a human from YouTube? I get it. If I'm going to be the source of content for all these people that are desperate for content out there, then so be it. Don't get triggered by it, folks. I know I won't be reacting, because what a fool I would be. What a fool. A veteran of the truth wars, a veteran of the algorithm wars that are still ongoing. What an idiot I would be to say no, to look such a gift horse in the mouth. Yes, people will say, but you're speaking to the enemy. Come on, folks, come on. I'm a YouTuber. It's a chance to hopefully do something good for the channel. So, fingers crossed. I need some Wookiee energy sent my way to make sure all of this goes well. Everything aligns, and it doesn't all go falling flat on its face like things typically do in my world. And I see Fred saying, don't rush, take your time. I know. Chris says all this climate change stuff is distracting you, or distracting from something bigger. A distraction is only a distraction, Chris, if you let it become that way. And that's all I can say about distractions. We should always be stood back, or as some people say, going to 30,000, 60,000 feet, and trying as much as we can to not only look at the stories that are going on just now, but to look at the bigger picture. What's the end goal, and how do the current stories play into that? And climate change, for me anyway, it's a big part of this kind of global system that they're wanting to drag us towards. Global climate taxes, get people on a global standard. Even though when you look at the kind of agreements that they make, there is no kind of level playing field. It's not the same rules for everyone out there, which in itself should be a red flag to anyone out there involved. So yeah, a distraction is only a distraction if we ourselves allow us to be played. There's my deep thought for the day. And before we shift gears, I'm going to play some tunes for 30 seconds. I'm going to stretch out and prepare yourselves, folks, because we go from this semi-sensible Kev Baker show into the stuff that we were talking about the weekend, and I'm even going to throw some camels into the mix as well. How the hell can camels mix with camel toes? Well, as we found out over the weekend, there's a lot of things that traffic cones can get up to that we really never gave them credit for. And what's even more startlingly worse is the fact that this problem that traffic cones are having right now, #Cone2, is far greater than any of us ever imagined. Go figure. Massive shout out to Kathy Scheibel out there. I can't thank you enough, Kathy, honestly, and you've really taken a load of pressure off big time. So big thank you, Kathy. And listen, we are definitely kindred spirits. All of us here, 120 of us, all on the same frequency. Definitely something cool going on in the safe space, right? As long as you're not doing it with a traffic cone. Yes, Dodger. I was thinking that as well. Really cool music, right? And yet these guys I work with at the weekend, they just don't appreciate my musical taste. They don't appreciate it. It took me like 5 hours at the weekend to find probably the cheesiest 70s retro pop porno classic that was hiding in the audio library that's safe to use on YouTube. They just don't appreciate the time I put in. I'm just overworked and underappreciated. I truly am, folks. That's my moaning out of the way, okay? Because now we get into the weird and wonderful world that is, I don't even know what to call it. And this is the part of the stream, like I titled it. What did I call it again? What on earth's name did I call it? I better go and check. Yeah. Cosmology. We touched on that, right? Brian Keating, cosmologist. How did the universe get here? How's things the way it is? Touched that. We've ticked that box. And then I've got in the title Camel Chaos. What the hell's Kev talking about? And then the traffic cones is covered by the who knows what else we might get into. But let me go to this camel first of all. And I must admit, I never ever imagined I would read a story like this. A variant of it where the camel is the offender, yes. I think I've already read a story like that. However, that's the inversion we're living in, right? What could possibly go wrong when a camel meets a woman at a bus stop? What could go wrong? Well, this could go wrong. Not for the woman at the bus stop. You got it wrong, see? It's the camel that came off second best. And guys out there, get ready. It's going to get nasty. Says here, a camel sat in a woman at a Louisiana bus stop. And at that point, when I read this earlier on, and just the guy, I blame you for this one, I read that and I thought, nearly burst out coffee over the screen, and it was a mess, right? I thought that was it. I thought, what else did it say here? So she bit its Jubilee bits. She went straight for Jim and the twins on this camel, sunk her canines into it, and it's not me making this up. It's what cops say, and this comes from the Sun Herald. This doesn't fall into the category of dumbest criminals, does it? Okay, I suppose, is a crime committed when you take a lump out of like a camel's junk? And I've heard of like ladies and camel toes, but never ladies and camel balls. I don't get it. Just shows you not all camels are for smoking, right? So it says here, so a woman walks into a camel enclosure. Sounds like a joke, but this story out of Louisiana is anything but. And again, Kev Baker, Safe Space rules apply. I haven't read the story, so just a guy, there might be even more nuggets of comedy in here that I don't know about. The headline was enough for me. The vivid picture I had, it wasn't healthy. And the fact I could even imagine something like that says a lot more about me than it even does about the woman. And if you hear a noise in the background, my cat tends to talk to herself. Okay? Go figure. Who knows? She's probably coming out with more wisdom and more gnosis, as they talk about, than anything I'll depart or impart on you in the next half hour or so. But it says here a Florida truck driver and her husband stopped at a tiger truck stop. Imagine getting a camel hanging about where tigers hang out, right? So, wasn't a bus stop, it was a truck stop. I got it wrong to start with, but I'm sure that doesn't take away from the story, okay? So it says a truck stop known for exhibiting exotic animals in Grosse Tete or Grosse Tete, where they let their deaf dog out of the truck for a rest break, the Advocate reported, but the dog ran off. Now, the woman chased the dog, following it into a barbed wire pen belonging to Casper, a camel who lives at the truck stop. Well, hang on a minute now. Hang on a minute. You're telling me not only was this woman in the camel's space, okay, but she then went on to, in a way, sexually assault it? Because what other way can you describe the act of sinking one's teeth into a camel's junk? Okay, maybe it was self-defense. I think she went too far. Let's have a look. So, it goes on to say that police say the dog was chasing treats when the woman's husband had thrown... what? Police say the dog was chasing treats the woman's husband had thrown into Casper's pen. I get it. Okay, so she's going in after the dog. Right, I'm with it now. I see it. The woman tried to catch the dog, likely disrupting Casper, who plopped right down on top of the woman, nearly crushing her. Well, you see, a camel sitting on you is going to do you some damage, right? Why there's a truck stop that has, like, exotic animals in the first place, that we could probably do an entirely different show on. And I think that might be added to Kev Baker's dating tips. If girls or boys, you're out having a drink with somebody and they tell you that they're the business owner of a truck stop, and it's a very special truck stop where they keep things like camels and exotic animals, I think it's not a date killer, but it's definitely the raising of a red flag. Okay? Just keep your eyes peeled for that kind of shit going on. So it says here that camels can pay up to, or way up to, they can pay you up to £1,100 to sit on you. There's probably deviants out there that would pay a camel £1,100 so it would sit on them. Tell me there's not. Tell me there's not. When even traffic cones are not safe in the UK, you can't tell me one of these freaks that's in the world right now hasn't thought about getting its rocks off with a camel. In fact, there's probably people that read this story getting aroused by it. The mere thought of camels' junk done it to them. Again, camels ain't just for smoking. Oh. So it says here, so how did she escape? Well, she done the obvious thing. You know, she didn't scream for help. She didn't lash out or punch. Her first thought was to go for his knackers. Really? His big swinging biscuits? Really? I don't know if that would have been my first thought, no matter how much air he was squeezing out of me. I'm assuming gender because it's got testicles. Don't call me judgmental, okay? Don't call me old-fashioned. It's a camel we're talking about here. Hashtag camels too. I get it. It'll offend somebody that identifies as a hump out there. What can I say? So it says here, I bit his balls to get him off me. I bit his testicles to get him off of me. She's really keen about this. She's an avid testicle biter. Not happy telling the police once she actually, like, confirmed just in case there was any kind of grey area. Let's see if there could have been any confusion after the first time. I bit his balls to get him off of me. Now, as a police officer at that point, I think I would have a pretty vivid picture of what was going on in this camel enclosure. I'm not too sure if there's any grey areas there. Why she felt the need to declare yet again, I bit his testicles to get him off me, I don't know. She's a crazy kind of chick. And that's not an insult. Crazy is a good thing in a woman. Just a little bit of crazy is what you want. Not camel biting crazy. So she was taken to an area hospital, but her condition is unknown. Well, it was good enough to boast not once but twice about what she'd done to that camel. No serious injuries to the camel were reported. And did you ask the camel? Did you get a camel whisperer in? Did you take down, did you get the CSI in there? Come on. Camels have rights too, you know. What camels don't have rights? Why? It's a camel. Of course it must have rights. And don't tell me camels can't talk or I'll take the hump with you. That was poor. I get it. But we're going full in on this here, man. I'm on the camel's side. I don't care if the camel sat on you. You go into somebody's house, you're either going to get punched in the face if you're uninvited. You're going to get punched in the face, deservedly. You're going to get tossed out on your ear, or you might get sat on. Any one of those three, you've got no comeback. You shouldn't have been there, okay? So this whole kind of self-defense thing, I ain't taking this to the camel court, no. The kangaroo court. Maybe there was a kangaroo as well. Maybe we'll get further down and we'll find that out. Says here, Casper the camel has lived at the truck stop since last summer, when the truck stop's previous and eponymous pet. Why throw in words like that to a funny story like for people like me? Come on. Tony the tiger, you've got to be kidding me on. In fact, girls, I take it back. You never go home with somebody that's got something called Tony the tiger sat at home, whether it's a stuffed animal or the real bloody thing out the bloody safari jungle. I don't know. We're going mad today. I can't remember where you find lions anymore. Or tigers. We're not even talking about lions. See? So it says here, oh, wow. Hang on a minute. Tony the tiger had to get put down after kidney failure and other health issues. Now, see, now I feel bad about laughing at Tony the tiger. That's why I'm going to have to start reading these stories, innit? I feel really bad now, but the story goes on. We must head forward. Previously, Tiger Tux. I suppose, really, Kev, it was in the name of the place, right? You wouldn't have just had a camel and called it the Tiger Truck Stop, would you? At some point, it stands to reason there might well have been a damn tiger in there somewhere. I get it now, right? So Michael Sandlin, and again, Michael, I don't mean to defame you. There's every chance you're a happily married man and you've never had any dodgy thoughts about doing anything bad to any strangers that turn up at your exotic creature-themed truck stop in the middle of nowhere. Just saying, just go with it, Michael. We're all good. He said he'd hope to bring in more animals to build a children's petting zoo. There you go. It's a bloody truck stop, man. Either have a truck stop or have a zoo. You can't combine the two. Some things go well, okay? Some things work. But nobody in their right mind, no business genius has ever got to the top of the pile or been in the Forbes Top 100 or the Fortune 500 by thinking, truck stops. What does every truck stop need? I get it. It needs a zoo. You see where I'm coming from, folks? You see where I'm coming from. So it says here, the camel has never been aggressive and the camel has never gotten out, never caused any issues. See? Camel never harmed anyone. Just a quiet little camel minding its own business, doing camel-y things out the back of the truck stop that sells Camel cigarettes. It's all just camel wonderland. Nobody bothering it. Nuts were safe. And then this woman just comes along and disturbs everything. What's that all about? It says, in fact, the husband and wife stated before that we've been here before and we've never had any problems. The couple was cited for trespassing, violating area leash laws, the news outlet reported. So there is justice in this world. The camel might not get its day in court, but it's good to see that the criminals in this case were punished. And I'm led to believe that despite this vicious attack on the camel, it's not been traumatized too much, and it's back to doing really, really cool camel-y things out the back of the Tiger truck stop. It does have a bit of a complex, though, however. After speaking to a camel psychologist, camel whisperer, turns out the thing that's affected the camel most is the name of the truck stop. You see, the camel thought Michael, the owner, loved him, but it was just an act. Because if he truly loved him, he'd have changed it to the Camel truck stop by now, wouldn't he? Michael, sort it out. Camel's losing sleep at night, dude. Yes, exactly, Nana. There's camel emojis in the chat room. I love it. So, and I know, wipe the tears away from your eyes, folks. That was a poor tale about a camel and a crazy woman. Just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, hold on to your traffic cones. It's about to... Oh, we need some clown music for this. War, I was thinking the same thing. And judging by the look that the camel had on its face, and I've seen it, the internet showed me, it wasn't just its mind that got blown, dude. One bite on the junk's assault. 2. That turns into some form of nibbling, right? Yes, indeed. And that there, definitely apt music for what we're about to go into here. At the weekend, maybe you were there, maybe you weren't. It's all the same to me. Oh, hang on, something's gone wrong there. Yes, yeah, there we are. We're back. We're back. One click of a button and it all goes, ah. But yeah, at the weekend, we got into some really, really crazy shenanigans. And one of the stories that came up was about a dude that was on his way home after a night out, lad's night out, I would assume, in Wigan, in England. Wigan's your typical kind of town city in the north of England. Great people, love a good drink, love a good night out. But this individual, for some reason, decided that on his way home, you know, he would have some happy, loving, fun time with a cleaning cone that he found in a train station. Not making this up, folks. You can go back and watch the stream. We covered it. It's in the Metro. It's a story. It's not just allegations. It's not just hearsay. The dude admitted it, okay? He's admitted it in court. And we got a lot of laughs and a lot of jokes over the weekend when we were talking about, you know, the cleaning cone, the traffic cone. Did it consent? Did it not? You get it, right? And it led us to talk about just what the hell's wrong with people. I'm looking for something right now. If you're wondering why I'm looking about the screen, it's because I'm looking for something. There it is. Hang on. Bear with me, folks. Bear with me. It's worth it. So yeah, we'll put this traffic cone in the corner here. This funny gif. This really fits with the story I'm talking about. So yeah, we were talking about this crazy freak ball in the UK and how he was violating traffic cones. We were talking about when did this even become a thing? You know, what the hell's wrong with people? Even traffic cones aren't safe now. So me being me, and sometimes it's horrible being me, because you see things that you can't unsee. That all kind of rhymed and I didn't even mean it. That was pretty cool. Hang on, this isn't good music for it. I need to find new music. Hang on, folks, hang on. No idea what music we're going for here. Yeah, that'll do it. So, traffic cones. Like I was saying, we've got one on the screen there now. Hilarious, right? It makes you see that GIF in an entirely different light when you realise that there's people who've got a thing for traffic cones. But I was thinking, no way. That this is like a glitch in the Matrix, okay? I talk about the simulation and that all the time. Go with me, right? This character was a glitch. It's like something defective in his operating system, his programming. Something skewed. Something happened to that dude at some point, right? Can't be a thing. Can't really be traffic and cleaning cones and things out there that are literally worrying for their existence because there's deviants out there going to violate them, right? It's a thing. Not only that, folks. It would appear, for whatever damned reason, and I'm not proud of this, and I'm telling you right now, don't do this at home. Don't ever go Google searching for the term for somebody that has sex with a traffic cone. I will never unsee most of the results that I've seen today. But in between all of that, I found out some really disturbing stuff. Not only are there people with an attraction to said traffic cones, it would seem a disturbingly high frequency of them come from... You've guessed it. Scotland. I want to clear things up right now before I get into this. This is not the story of a typical Scotsman. No. These people are damaged, okay? Something has gone very, very wrong in their corner of the Matrix. But I went looking to see if this was a thing today. You guessed it. It is. Not only that, I go back to the year 2002. Come with me. I take you back to 2002. From the Scotsman. It's like one of our most reputable broadsheets in the country. Court told of sex with a traffic cone. We're not going to get into all of the details here. We don't need to, but it's nothing new. This has been going on since there were traffic cones. And more worryingly, it's happening a lot in Scotland. I don't know why. Used to make a laugh and a joke about the sheep and everything else, but who knew? Says a man rolled about on the ground having sex with a traffic cone as stunned youths watched in disbelief. A court heard yesterday. Ross what? And I apologise, Ross, this was a long time ago. You're probably wishing that everyone had forgot about this by now. But it's on the public record. 33, interesting number. Maybe it was because he was a Mason. I'm only joking. He had sex with the bollard only because he couldn't get his hands on his favoured sex object. A pair of trainers. Damn, couldn't get his hands on a pair of shoes. What he was going to do to the shoes, the mind boggles. But his next best option, imagine being that desperate, on a hunt for a pair of trainers. You're at your wit's end, you can't take it anymore, you need a release. Not one trainer in sight. What does he do? Traffic cone. Nobody ever made that. Nobody ever done that. You see, this is why these people are a glitch. It's an NPC thing. These are not only non-player characters, they're broken non-player characters. They're BNPCs. Oh my word, I just said BNP in the same sentence. I'm definitely getting demonetized now. You get me though, folks, right? You get me. So, not only that though, there's something weird going on in Britain in general when it comes to traffic cones. What have I stumbled upon? It's just like the great traffic cone, MK traffic cone conspiracy. Is it a conspiracy? Oh, love it. Check this out. Kingston police called after men dressed up as traffic cones block cars in a Halloween prank. Who in hell's name ever thought about dressing up as a traffic cone for Halloween? Who ever done that? Not one, not two, 5 geniuses from the UK. Now, you can't tell me these are the kind of guys that you can leave alone with a traffic cone. What is it with the rhyming today? Why is this happening? I don't know. But does it end there? Does it end there? Oh, hell no, it doesn't end there. And there's some websites out there that I think we will only ever find on the Safe Space. And what if I was to tell you that there's like this crazy website? I call it crazy because I think it's quality. But all they seem to do is document the lives and travels and the plight of traffic cones. You think I'm joking, don't you? Somebody says it's from 16 years ago. Yes, exactly. It's nothing new. The problem is far worse than we thought. There's been this kind of underground conists. Shall we call them conophiles? Yes, nothing new. I think that doesn't take away from the case, the age of it. In fact, it makes the problem all that much more worse. And the worst of it is, ladies and gentlemen, the worst of it is, before we get to this website that you'd never, ever expect to see, it's been hiding in plain sight all this time. What you're looking at here is the infamous statue that stands in Glasgow, and adorned on said statue 365 days of the year is a varying collection of, you guessed it, traffic cones. Who knew? Who bloody knew? Yep. It's a conspiracy, folks. It is. And if you don't believe me, I want you to get a load of this. And I think we need some White Hats music, because the cones, people need to save the cones. They really do. Okay, so we'll get the White Hat music on. The good guys are on the way. Tell me, Kev, why are the good guys needed for the cones? Well, get this. There's a website called machinehead-software.co.uk, and it deals with traffic cone stories. And as you can see here, they're being tortured, they're being persecuted. Folks, cone lives matter. Don't ever forget it. Well, you see, big shout out to Mr. D-Ball Money out there. In fact, no, I got the wrong one. Hang on. Yep, a big shout out to D-Ball Money anyway, but below that we've got Chuck Bam Bam. He talks about traffic cone as being a genre of adult movie. Like I say, that's why I'm here to do these bizarre searches for these bizarre stories, because within 4 results being returned to me by the search engine, it became abundantly clear that there is a genre for traffic cone monkey business. Camel business? I don't know anymore. But traffic cones being tortured? Tell me it isn't so. Well, in Wigan, we've already seen in Wigan they're very much getting persecuted. But let me just get to this story then. We're almost running out of time here. I will, I keep on bringing up the wrong one. I can't take myself seriously. I just see this traffic cone beside me. Who knew? If that keeps going on long enough and that's in a city in the UK, there's a good chance that somebody might try and violate that, even though it is like just a string of still images. Bear with me, though. What's happening to traffic cones? This had me, again, laughing so hard I could barely breathe. It says, this evil alien traffic cone has apparently been captured by a marauding peloton of riders from the cyclist resistance movement. As you can see, and the camera never lies, it has been cruelly impaled on a fence post. To add to its humiliation, yes, talking about the traffic cone here, sadistic sensory deprivation techniques are being employed. Its point has been covered with a plastic bag. Electrical wires have been connected to the traffic cone's base, and the other end of the wires, not shown to protect the identity of the CRM rider who is just following orders, has been connected up to a high-power bicycle dynamo. The Geneva Convention states that prisoners should be humanely treated and not subjected to torture or exhibited for propaganda purposes. However, the cones are believed to have constructed a WMD factory in Lancashire, and stockpiles of WMD might have been hidden on the Bristol to Bath cycle path, where they are also believed to be building a super gun. Who knew? Who knew that we've been invaded by some intelligent traffic cones? And not only that, but we've got brave men and women riding about on bikes, actually putting them to right for it. There you go. Learn something new every day. I need to get one of these characters on the show. Says here, they must be stopped before the full-scale invasion starts and they bring the planet to a standstill. It's important to get the cone to talk, but so far, after endless hours of electrical torture, I'm not making this up. The cone remains silent. Could this mean that there aren't any WND on the cycle track? Nah. Cones are tough little plother muckers. What? But have ways of making them talk eventually. And if the cone doesn't talk, then for a finale, traffic cones will go woof if you pour some petrol over them and start playing with matches. Now, I want to tell people I am not condoning any violence against traffic cones on the back of this broadcast. I have no idea what corner of the matrix I have taken you all into today, but who knew it was a thing? But it goes on. It gets worse. It says traffic cones are not entitled to the protection of the Geneva Convention because conical terrorists do not have POW status. The traffic cones have not been signatories of the Geneva Convention. Traffic cones are stateless. Traffic cones aren't officially recognised as proper life forms, merely cheap plastic crap. And the traffic cones haven't complained. They haven't said anything. The traffic cones have not formally declared war. And it says a spokesman for CRM has denied any involvement in torturing traffic cones. Quote, the cyclist resistance movement is a highly trained, well-disciplined unit, not just a marauding peloton of bicycle freaks. If the photographs are genuine, and if they really were filmed on location on the Bristol to Bath path cycle, then tortures must have been carried out by civil contractors acting on their own initiative. Besides, we do not need to torture traffic cones in the UK because we can subcontract this to Eastern Europe. And there, ladies and gentlemen, lies the great conspiracy that traffic cones are taking over the UK. Think I'm making up about a website dedicated to this madness? Look at some of the other stories. Anatomy of a stealth cone. Stealth cones. Traffic cones are weapons of mass destruction. Traffic cone invasion. traffic cones world domination plans, Martian landings on the Bristol to Bath cycle path, traffic cone sex. I dare not even click that link. I dare not even click the link, folks, because I don't know what we will see. Traffic cone abacus, traffic cone building a supergun, the cone circle, traffic cone TARDIS. They're even time traveling. Weapons to hurt traffic cones with. Traffic cone attacks a policeman. Cyclist jokes, cyclist, and a link to other traffic cones websites. You kidding me on, right? Traffic cone paranoia sites. Traffic cone humor. Oh no! Oh no! Oh dear me! Traffic cone fetishists. There we have it, folks. They are a thing. Not very often I'm lost for words, right? Not very often. But I am today. I am today. Who knew? The great conspiracy. Not many people talking about that in alternative media. I can safely say you heard it all here first. And when you hear Jonesy, and you hear Coast to Coast, and you hear all the rest of them jumping on the cone bandwagon, you'll know that you were the first to be subjected to the madness in the safe space. You see, some things only ever happen in the safe space, folks. That's why it's so cool. You lot are bad. My coffee's got cold and everything. I blame you lot, see? Gordon in the chat, what's going on? Exactly, Gordon. I'm the one that put this stream together and I don't know what's going on. What hope do you great people have out there? I told you you wouldn't be any the more intelligent by the time you left here today. I hope you've been slightly more entertained than you were when you came in the door. And isn't that what it's all about? All of these big, huge, stressful things going on in the world, in our own lives. And for 90 minutes or so each day, 90 minutes we can just say, do you know what? To hell with all of it. And let's get back to having a laugh. Because as far as I can make out, laughing so far, it's the one thing that they can't take away. And just laughing, it makes you feel good. It's a lot easier to laugh than to be unhappy. And just even the act of being miserable and depressed and unhappy, it's a vicious cycle, folks. It just chases itself round and you spiral deeper into it. And then somebody just cracks a joke, makes you laugh, reminds you how awesome you are. And you are all awesome. Even the camels out there. Even you people that like the traffic cones. I'm inclusive. I was going to say I'm incone-clusive, but you get me. You get me. But yeah. That's what the safe space is all about. And it's like in the hope that one day we'll dupe some snowflakes in here. Some people with their social justice kind of mentality. Boy, oh boy, are they going to get a cold, hard shock when they come into a safe space that really is like no other. And that's not just down to the craziness that I bring up on the stream here. It's all of you out there as well. No show without all of you. And if you want to join the Discord server, just email me at kbsdiscord@protonmail.com. That's KBS Discord at protonmail.com. So good in there. I'm not in there half the amount of time I would like to be, but it's not about me. It's about where all of you can continue to keep this vibe going, right? So before I leave today, and I need to leave real soon, I've got things to do for people, folks. I've got dinners to make. It's all no rock star kind of existence being a podcaster, let me assure you. Let me dip my toe into the chat room one last time before I let you all get back to it. That's some crazy tunes right there, right? Well, crazy. Get that silly Facebook page off of there. There we go, we're back. And I don't have long, folks. I don't have long. So let me dive in here. Let me say hello to, or goodbye to, I know, it's time to go. We've got Nana in there. We've got Stimulate. We have got, what's Stimulate saying? Do not yell through a cone if it smells kind of musty. It's going to make me look at traffic cones in an entirely different light from now on. And it says there, Brett, if Scotsmen are humping traffic cones, I don't know what they do at a stoplight. It's not a common thing. It's a very small minority. It is. I was chased by a traffic cone once, says Chuck Bam Bam. That would have been okay yesterday or before the weekend. Now, if I got chased by a traffic cone, I would have no idea what's about to happen to me. I truly don't. Says here, cone movement was the same as toilet paper and teens do it. My friends stole a traffic cone and brought it to my house many years ago, says Mr. D-Ball Money. And we've got Gordon saying, thanks, I thank you. Tessa says, what, the Discone channel? Yeah, we'll call it the Kev's Discone channel. What's the new one? Shh, the cones took the lady who managed to storm Area 51. I think two of them got arrested, right? Didn't like Oakenfield, or isn't that the name of the famous, what do you call him, DJ that turned up there? Oakenfield, something like that? I'm out of touch, folks. I'm in my 40s. I don't know the names of all these cool happening dudes now. Says those pesky cones. Exactly, Nana. Cones don't like to share the area with pee balls. Brilliant. I imagine going randonauting and turning up on a pile of cones. That's not going to be good. That's not good at all. Cones do come in all shapes and sizes, apparently. They certainly do. And folks, listen, I need to get out of here. I just realised the time. It's 10 to 7. Dang. I've even missed the pharmacy. So see the things I do for you folks. Listen, I'll be back tomorrow, hopefully. But realistically, I'm probably going to be taking a day off tomorrow and back on Wednesday. Don't forget to tune in to the Kev Baker Show tonight, though. Hour number 1, we have got Dr. Brian Keating talking about losing the Nobel Prize. We were talking about that at the start of the show today. You don't want to miss that. It's all on camera. It's all cool. It's all good. It'll be up on YouTube maybe tomorrow. But please, if you can, come along to tfrlive.com to listen to it live later on today. And in hour number 2, I will have Johnny Whistles with me. Maybe Joe Joseph as well. Who knows? Maybe Scott too. Full House, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Maybe I can even find a Camel to join us as well. And if all else fails, on my way to the shop in a minute, there's always traffic cones, right? So, folks, until tomorrow, keep the mind open, keep asking those questions, but don't let your brain turn to black goo to the point where it all runs down the side of your neck and you look really messy and a big camel wants to lick the side of your face. Not good. Not good at all. Later.